Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi, this is Tammy Pantzer, and I am thrilled to introduce you to our guest today, Kimberly Garvey from Fishers, Indiana. Kimberly is working on her 11th coloring book, and the theme of most of Kimberly's books are what you might call doodles with a purpose. The 11th book is all about flowers, but let's get right into the interview. Kimberly, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fine. So tell me, how in the world did you get started creating coloring books?
Well, I used to be a painter primarily. I did watercolors and a lot of flowers and stuff like that, but it was all watercolor paintings. And I got frustrated and tired of trying to sell my paintings, and people didn't want to buy them, and I was getting really discouraged, and I decided to stop and just start doodling for a while. So I got some sketchbooks, and I started doing some drawings, and then I had a friend of mine, her daughter came up to me and said, I saw an adult coloring book, and it looks a lot like your artwork. And she goes, I think you should try to do one for yourself. And so I decided, I gave myself a year to make a coloring book, and it actually only took me about 6 months, and then I released my first one in April 30th of last year.
So in less than a year, you went from no coloring books to now working on your 11th coloring book. So I imagine you must have found some secret?
I found that I really, really enjoyed doing them, and it's just so much fun to make one. And so I ended up making several because I was kind of, people are addicted to coloring these books. I'm addicted to making them. And I just really was having a good time making these books. And that's how I ended up with 11 so far. Actually have stopped doing so many, kind of taken a little bit of a break, but I'm getting back into it again.
So are these designs all original? Are they hand-drawn, computer? How do you do it?
They're all hand-drawn. Most of them are just off the top of my head, drawings, doodles, just sitting there, kind of brainstorming and just letting my hand draw whatever it wants to draw. I did do one book of foxes, and it is a fox on every page, but still, even with the fox book, there's doodles all around the foxes. So I used a light box for the foxes, and I got some photographs and did a little bit of tracing them out and kind of getting an idea of how to proportion the foxes. And that was my most thought. The book I had to do the most thinking on was the fox book.
So the 11th book, the one that you're working on now, what's the theme of that book?
It is just flowers, and they all look really kind of crazy. They don't look like any kind of flower that you'd see growing in the yard. So I'm calling them alien flowers from another dimension.
Oh, that's cool. I like them.
They look like they might be from another planet somewhere if there was life on other planets. They're kind of stylized, crazier looking flowers with lots of patterns on them and so forth.
So what are some of the titles of your books?
Well, my first book was Strange Designs, and that was my very first book. And then I decided after that people were saying they wanted a small book, like a little portable travel size book. So I did one called Strange Little Designs, and it's similar, but just a much smaller book. I think it's 5 by 9.
So it's something to put in your purse.
Yes, it'll fit in your purse, and it's still big enough that it's easy to color. And then I ended up I had some people telling me that most of the coloring books were too difficult. There were a lot of people who were wanting more simple designs. So I did a book called Simple Designs, and that book really took off. That's my biggest selling book. It's been very popular. And it's funny because it was probably the most difficult book I did. Even though it was so simple, it was frustrating to try to get an image that was simple yet not totally boring. And so while I was making the Simple Design book, I also decided just for fun to make a book that was very complicated. And that's when I made the book. It's complicated, and that one is like a book of extreme designs, very, very detailed.
Oh, that's interesting how you juxtapose the simple to complicated, but you find that people are looking for simpler books.
Yeah.
How are those simpler books? Who is your audience for simple books?
I think beginners and older people and people with disabilities. I've had people tell me, I've got RA or I've got Parkinson's or whatever, and it's harder for me to color smaller places. And a lot of beginners are, kind of intimidated by a lot of these real heavy, detailed coloring books. Like to start with something smaller, something simpler. And then after a while, somebody told me that my Simple Design book was still not simple enough. And so I did another book called Super Simple Designs, where I literally took the Simple Designs book, and simplified each page. So I've got actually 3 simple books: Simple Designs 2, and Super Simple Designs.
So people really like they like the idea of coloring, but they just want to keep it simple so that you don't have to worry about going outside the lines and wrecking something. I guess is what that's all about. So do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. It's fine.
So do you think that there are real health benefits to coloring books? That I see a lot written about, stress relief and
definitely.
That's why people are using them.
Yes, definitely. It's definitely a stress reliever. It helps you kind of, let things go. You can kind of zone out, and it's kind of meditative, to color, because you're just kind of working with the colors and the markers and pencils and stuff, and it's like you kind of forget your troubles for a while you're working.
Do you have any favorite tools, like of all the things that you can color with? What's your favorite method?
Well, I definitely like coloring with markers. I like to color with colored pencils. I think they look really good. But I have more fun coloring with markers. Markers are they flow nice, they're bright, they're very vibrant. I like to make my colorings extremely bright. And so I use Bic Markets, fine point markers, and Sharpie's fine point. I think I've got the Glam set or something like that of the Sharpies, and they're very vibrant colors. And I really like using markers the best.
So I want to ask you to give our listeners some tips about how to get the best results when coloring, especially if they are thinking about giving, maybe they're thinking about giving something they're coloring away as a gift, or maybe they just want to keep it as a personal keepsake. Can you give me 3 tips to help people out?
Well, one thing is like color choices. It's kind of nice when you're working in an area to maybe use complementary colors together. Like we use blue next to orange and yellow next to purple, and it helps the colors kind of come out. Or also another tip is to use maybe limited colors, not like the entire box of markers, but just maybe about 6 or 7 colors, maybe a bunch of blues and purples and something like that. And, just really there's no right or wrong way to do it. I've seen people color in so many different ways, and most of it I think looks really good. So I think just relax and kind of go with the flow is also, a good way to do it.
So leave perfection behind.
Yeah, if you get hung up on perfection when you're coloring, you won't enjoy it. And really, the whole point of coloring is to enjoy it.
Do you think that adult coloring books is a fad, or do you think it's actually a good business opportunity?
Well, I don't think it's a fad. I actually bought my very first adult coloring book, back in like '93. It was a Dover coloring book. It was a Mandela's. And I really enjoyed it. And it never caught on back then, but it's been around for a long time. But I think now that people are really into it, it may slow down, but I think it'll stay. I think it'll stick around.
So if I want to start creating coloring books, what would your advice be?
If you wanted to start creating your own?
Yes. If I wanted to become either a self-publisher or just to start creating my own coloring pages.
Well, first of all, once you get your drawings done, you come up with some nice line drawings, and you like them, and you think that they'd make a good book. What I did was I went to my computer and literally just searched out, how do I publish a coloring book? And I did a Google search on it and just read article after article about how to do, how to start it up, how to self-publish. I found out about CreateSpace, which is what I publish my books through, is CreateSpace. And CreateSpace is a company that is through Amazon.com. So you sell books directly through Amazon, and they're made to order.
So you don't have to have an inventory, which makes it really nice because it's print on demand. Exactly.
I never have an inventory. It's like people buy them and they make them to order, and it's really wonderful. So I would suggest people read up about CreateSpace and the possibilities there. It's really a wonderful program they've got going. And, And, just as far as like how to draw a coloring book, you have to remember when you're doing the drawings, you're not just doing any old drawing, you're drawing something that has to be colored. So you've got to make sure that the areas you're drawing can be colored in, that they're closed up, there's no open ends, and it's kind of a different way of thinking while you draw.
So how do you keep yourself inspired? You said that you just started, so you've created these 11 books, and you said that you've slowed down a little bit. But how do you keep being inspired to keep creating day after day to produce these books?
Well, I mean, I just naturally want to draw, and I just naturally sit around and draw while I'm watching television or whatever. But as far as, like, inspiration with the different books, like, each book I had different inspirations for, and sometimes they're, the needs of other people. I was inspired to try to help people who wanted more simpler books, and and then there's like the Fox book that I did. I did that one sort of for my son. He really likes foxes, and I thought that he'd get a big kick out of it if I did a fox book. And like, I've got some that are just like intermediate level coloring books. The one's called Playful Adventures. It's just flowers and designs, and Strange Designs, my first book, is just all doodles. And really, my inspiration, it just comes to me. Nothing, I don't go out and seek inspiration. It just happens. I'm getting ready to go on a cruise to Jamaica, and I'm hoping to take the photographs that I get in Jamaica and maybe make a coloring book out of that.
That's a really good idea, when you go traveling, to take photographs wherever you go and then get inspired by all of that different information. That's a really good piece of advice. So if you had one piece of golden advice to give to people, either about being a colorist or about trying to create a business with coloring books, what would that be?
As far as like creating a business, I would say do research first, and kind of get an idea of what people are looking for, what kind of books are popular right now. You can search that out on Amazon and see the top 100 books, and coloring books are always way up there in the top 100 books, and you can kind of see what kind of things are trending. Just doing some research before you get started, it really helps.
So do your homework.
Yeah, definitely, because I did. I mean, before I had most of my drawings done before I did the coloring books, but I spent a lot of time reading before I started to actually put it together and make it into a book and work towards publishing it.
Good advice. Do the research and know who your audience is, and that advice works for any business that you're going to be doing, no matter what it is. So, Kimberly, where can we get more information about you and your books and services?
Well, I have a website, and it's just KimberlyGarvey.com, and it's got all my books on there. It's got links to purchase all my books. And there's also I have a newsletter that I send out every week, and once a month I send out a free coloring page. And you can sign up for the newsletter on my website. And so I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
I saw that you had videos of your books also at your Blogspot post.
Yes, so everyone can see what's in the books.
I think that's a really good idea, to use videos to show people the entire book so they will know whether or not that's the book that they want. I think video is a really useful tool in marketing your coloring books.
Yeah, it definitely is. It helps a lot because, it gives people, they might not be able to tell by the cover of the book what they're going to get inside. So, and I like that people know what they're getting into, because I've had a couple of bad reviews on my books because someone didn't it wasn't what someone thought it was going to be. And it always, bums me out. It's like, oh, they missed the video, But I try to put the videos out there a lot so people can see them.
That's really a good idea, because that way people, they see every page of the book. When they buy the book, they know exactly what they're getting, and that could help you get more 5-star reviews. And the better reviews you have, the more people are going to trust that the book is going to be what they're looking for. That's really a good idea. Well, thank you, Kimberly. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate getting to talk to you and talk about my work. So thanks a lot.
This is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a great day.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.